I successfully used the countdown thing.
That's cool. That's fancy.
Right?
Get really easy with these things.
Amazing. Hello everybody. Thank you for coming to the launch. I know there will probably be a bit of trickle in because of how the whole YouTube
how events work, but I'm just gonna pull up your book. Of Pride. Look at this.
Coffee.
Yeah, your screen is. I don't know why my room's so dark. Oh well.
I actually closed the window in my room. I just have a very bright light.
Yeah, I think that's what my problem is that I have like my little side table lamp. It's like right beside me though. So
it's still great. We can see you. We can see your book. Your book is back there.
Yes. Yours is the more important. I don't know how to work camera angles anymore.
It's hard with the mirrored version as well.
Yeah, and I don't know. My laptop is such an odd thing. I feel like I'm at a weird angle. Oh well, this is not what people signed on to hear was talking about, I guess.
Amazing. But yes, thanks. Welcome to the launch. Thank you so much for coming. This is the very informal, casual, but still spoiler-free launch of Blood Like Magic. I have a more formal event on the 18th, and I have another event also on the 19th, and I have a link in the description for my event page if you want to learn more about those. But hello, I'm Lizelle Sambry. I'm the author of Blood Like Magic, out today.
You're a published author.
I know, it's very strange and surreal, especially because I cannot really go anywhere. But
there's only some places that have opened lockdown. So
yeah, exactly. But in some ways, it's very chill because I wasn't trying to run around and do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm joined by Ashley Shuttleworth. I will let them introduce themselves. I'm going the wrong way. Here we go.
I'm Ashley. I'm the author. No, that's not it. And Wrinkles of a Dark and Hollow Star, which is also a fantasy book set in Toronto. Yay. Also by the same publisher and editor and. Yay!
Yeah, it's true. We do have the same editor. So I guess my book, I assume if you're here, you know what my book is about, but I'll pitch it anyway. It's about a family of Black witches living in a near future Toronto, and in particular, Voya Thomas, who is given the impossible decision of either killing her first love or losing her family's magic forever. And Ashley, do you want to pitch us A Dark and Hollow Star?
Oh my God. Do I remember what my book is about? I haven't done this in a long time. It's the story of 4 queer teens who join together to track down a dangerous alchemist plotting against the courts of folk. Yeah, it's very, very YA. I'm glad that I just have that elevator pitch down packed now.
Yeah, it sticks in after a while. It just becomes embedded in your brain matter. Yeah, I'm so happy to have you here. As Ashley said, both of our books are urban fantasies set in Toronto. We also have the same editor and publisher. And I loved Ashley's book. I just think I'm so excited always to chat with Ashley and hang out. And so
one day we can see each other in person again. And I have just started this because, let's be honest, I am behind on my edits right now. But this is so good. Everyone who is here, and tell everyone else you really need this book. It's beautiful. Yay. And again, from page 1, I was so super into it.
Yay! Thank you. I love that.
Starts with blood. I was into it.
Yeah, immediately blood.
Lived up to the title.
Yes. Very apt title. Good job to my editor Sarah for coming up with it. Nailed it. I guess to run down how this evening is going to work, I have a game for us to play. It's from the Owl Crate box. I was actually reminded of it when I was on a stream with Jessica Williamson. And
sorry, someone said they wanted to see see the hardcover. Look at it. You keep talking. I'm just gonna.
But yeah, I was on a stream with Jessica Williamson. She pulled it out, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that thing." If you don't know Jessica Williamson, she is our lovely moderator in the chat. She's moderating the chat, and she also has a YouTube channel, and it is linked below. Also, Ashley's book is linked below, etc. So check her out as well. But I figure what we can do is we'll like play a round of the game, and then we can answer like a question or a couple questions, and then we could play another round and answer some more questions, etc. So if you have questions, feel free to show them in the chat. I do have the chat up, and I can see it. It's a little bit delayed, not super delayed, but a little bit delayed when I see it. But yeah, so you can put your questions in the chat, and we'll get to those, and I will briefly explain the game for Ashley's benefit as well. So it's basically like you pick this thing. What is this? A card? Circle. Yeah. You pick a card and it has like a category of book. And then you have 30 seconds to name 5 books that fit into that category.
Oh no. My brain is only going to remember 2 books. I'm going to be really bad at this game.
I don't know how well this time limit is going to go. We might have to do away with the time limit. But we'll try it at least for the first round. And then
suddenly every book I've ever read in my entire life.
Now you have to think of them all. And in the chat, if you think of titles, feel free to flash those up, and we'll like see what we missed. And we can do it after. But yeah, this whole time you can go ahead and like put questions in the chat, and I will just scroll back to them after we do this first round. Would you like me to go first to save you?
This is your release day, Lizelle. You get to talk about.
I will also, before I set the timer, I will say the category and I will show it to everyone. And then I will start the timer.
Even starting a timer. You no sympathy in this house.
At least for this first round, we have to.
We have to do it properly.
Okay, so, I'm ready. I'm gonna say it aloud. Okay, characters who wield swords, and you say the book. So anyway, I'm gonna start the timer. Okay, it started. A Dark and Hollow Star.
Yeah, it's like.
Oh man! Immediately, my head is emptied.
I know, right? Legendborn. Got swords in there.
Oh my god.
Does it have to be YA?
No.
You've already run out of 30 seconds.
No, you've done so poorly. Okay. The timer has already gone off.
Failed. Oh my god, I feel really bad about myself too, because as a person with the sword book.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we have answers here.
Throwing a glass. Yeah, Seer Mass. All of those have swords in them.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings, Third of Class, Narnia.
All these books are like, oh no. All right, yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's true. She does use the sword.
It's pretty iconic too. Again, we don't read anything. We only write the book.
All I can remember from the series is that I loved it, and that I was like, ride the snake, please ride the snake, ride the giant snake.
That's what I wanted out of this book.
Yeah. Oh, Percy Jackson.
Yeah, there's so many sword books. We failed really hard.
So many.
We failed so hard.
30 seconds is evil.
It is. All right, we got to get better at this.
I know, it's true. Okay, let me scroll back and see if we have a question first. I will treat this as a question because I failed to do this properly. But so this is the hardback. There we go.
And then show off your fancy undercover. Look how pretty it is. It's two-tone.
I was so excited when I saw
Look at it.
Other people were getting their copies before me, and a friend, being very lovely, did a whole video tour of it for me, and I was like, it's so pretty. I didn't know they were going to do any of that. I didn't know they were going to two-tone. I didn't know they were going to metallic the side. Super cool.
And in jealousy for everyone else, I have mine with the...
Did they stick the vinyl sticker in the book?
No, I did.
Oh, okay.
That one to me.
I was like, wow, they just made all the choices.
I have just put all of the stickers in it.
Amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and then I have your art on the wall.
Thank you. I don't think I actually talked about this, but I commented on a video with this, but one of my childhood friends is from Sri Lanka, and so I automatically put a Sri Lankan character in. Oh, here we go. A question. How do you come up with plot twists? Do you add more with each draft? Ashley, I will let you first.
You want me to start?
The question first with a time limit.
Okay, this is fair. I think for me, it is just kind of as I go. There are plot twists that I have set in my mind of what I want to happen when I sit down to write my story, but even though I outline a lot of what I do now, it's still kind of pantsing as I write the first draft. So there is a significant plot. Oh my god, my agent's calling me right now. This is weird.
What are you doing?
He only calls me when I have sold a book. We're just gonna let that go. Hopefully she leaves a message and it's a good thing. Anyhow.
You could look back on this moment, potentially.
Oh, well, okay. We're going to fingers crossed for good news. Anyhow, what were we saying? Plot twist. They wanted me to answer it. No, I can't answer it now. This is Lizelle's day.
I love that it is the plot twist in the plot twist.
It was the plot twist in the plot twist.
That's what Devana said. Devana was like, plot twist. It is the plot twist.
Anyhow, there is a plot twist that we've just come up with for the second book. For A Dark and oh wait, I can say the title now, right?
Yes.
A Cruel and Fated Late, and which wasn't at all planned, but just fit everything that we had going on. Mm-hmm. And Sarah, my editor, and I were just kind of like screaming about it. So we'll see if it goes over well, because I really enjoy it. But sometimes things just kind of evolve as you go. Sometimes you have it planned, and sometimes it really is kind of a group effort, because I didn't think of this plot twist, and so I was like, what if you did this? How cool would that be? Yeah. And then we kind of just like played with it.
I love that. That's so good. Yeah. Planning plot twists is not a thing I am good at. A lot of my plot twists just spontaneously come to me, and then I have to figure out how to make it work. Or it's like the thing, it's like a suggestion from my agent or from my editor makes me think about something. And I'm like, what if this happened, or what if this happened? So that's kind of the pain with me about helping with plot twists, because when I try and manufacture a plot twist, it tends to not go very well. But my plot twists are always like, I just think of like the wildest thing that could happen, or that like seems cool to me. And then I'll be like, okay, I have to figure out now how to make this work. And it's great if I'm plotting, because then I could just plot around it. And it's less great when I think of it during revision, because then I have to fix everything to make it work.
Yeah. And it is a lot of like we're just going to hope that it slots in here a little bit, as less work as possible. But yeah.
And then so much like back work Easter egging, because now you got to like go into so many scenes and you have to like work in all of these things. Like with Blood Like Magic, there's like a thing several times in the book that like only the adult members of the family know about. And there's like so many of them and they're all having different reactions to it. So then I had to go back and like be like, okay, this is how this person's reacting. This what this person is thinking about. And then I have to make it subtle enough that it's not ridiculous that the main character hasn't figured it out, but also like she has to notice something. And it's like, well, what is she noticing? So yeah, plot twists are, I definitely add more with each draft for sure.
Yeah. And then the first draft especially, you're sort of just really trying to get the words out. Yeah. And you just really need to get the framework done. So all of the embellishments can happen afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Are you ready for another lightning? I'm going to keep the timer, and here's why I'm going to keep the timer.
You keep the timer so that we can feel bad about ourselves.
Yes, well, when I keep the timer, we don't get them all. And then when the audience comes up, then we have like their answers to be like, oh, that's what we could have thought of. But if we have too much time to think of it, we're going to think of the right ones.
Yeah, I know.
It's not going to be the same. Okay.
We just need to be ashamed of our inability to answer questions about our own industry. It's all right.
Yeah. This sword threw me off a lot. I forgot every sword ever.
Me too.
This is actually okay, I'm not gonna use that one because books that have made you cry. Nobody who can guess that.
Who can guess that? I can tell you books that have made me cry. But yeah.
That doesn't even make sense. How does that work? No, bring it out. It's my launch and I'm picking.
You get to pick whatever question you want to pick.
Okay. Immortal characters.
Okay. How many books do we have to name?
5. Twilight.
5. Yes.
Shadow and Bone. I'm counting the Darkling. A Dark and Hollow Star.
Definitely. The Cassandra Clare books, don't they have immortals in them?
In what?
The Cassandra Clare books.
Probably.
There's angels. Okay.
Which one do you pick, though? You have to pick a book.
Technically, Legendborn has immortals. Don't they get reborn as them?
Yeah, that's true. Okay. We did so much better that time. We did. We were ahead of the game with this. Yeah. The hit on the Cassandra Clare is, but which one?
I don't know. The books, the Cassandra Clare books, all of them, literally all of them.
I'm trying to think of the ones that I have read. Yeah, I can't think of anyone. I'm like, but we have answers. Tuck Everlasting.
How come it's not showing properly? There we go. Yeah, Cruel Prince.
Oh, I guess because they're fairies.
Yeah. Wow. I failed with that one. Sorry, guys. I don't read other people's fairy books. It's a lie. I read everybody's fairy books.
The Bible?
Literally everyone's the Bible. It's true. It's not false.
Caraval, which I haven't read and I so very much need to read.
I have that.
Devacia / Grapefly are on the same wavelength.
Good.
Magnus. That's
yeah, Magnus, right. I even liked him the most, and I forgot all about him. Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool. For shame. Love Deadpool.
We did better, though. We got 4.
We did better. We got 4. We're going to get 5 for one of these.
Anna says to make it a minute, but I can't make it a minute. We have to stick to the Owl Crate challenge. We can't shame ourselves in front of
this is Owl Crate thing. Yes. Yes.
Okay, we do have questions. This is fun because we have the same editor.
Yeah.
What's the relationship like with your editor?
You get to start first this time.
Oh, I was like looking at you. Yeah,
I have glowing things to say. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's really
Sarah's watching.
I've had such a great experience working with Sarah. I feel like she's such a strong editor in that she can pick out the things that like you're not even thinking of yet. And she's like, well, what about this? Or like things that are obvious. Like I'm trying to think of without spoilers. There's a thing in Blood Like Magic where the way I had it set up, it was gonna make Voya look really selfish and like crappy. And I hadn't even thought of that until she was like, but doesn't this kind of make it look like she's just doing this for her? And I was like, all right, this is my system that I set up. And so then I fixed it, and it ended up being like way better for it because the stakes got even higher, because that was one of those things where that set off a plot twist idea for me. And then I put that in, and it was a fix for the problem, but it was also a plot twist because I'm unnecessarily obsessed with them. And so that was really good. I feel like she's great at paying out those sorts of things. And so I've had a really good editing experience with her. Even though we have only like type message, and we've had like one phone call, because usually I read her notes and I'm like, yeah, everything is spot on. Good. I move on. And because the time we've worked together, like I was in New York once, but we had just like signed the contract. And so I hadn't started editing with her yet. So it felt weird to be like, can I come see you in your office? She probably wouldn't have been, it probably would have been fine.
No, Adrian totally had like lunch with her.
Oh,
Adrian too. She had lunch with her. So
yeah, one day.
One day.
I'm not essentially weird.
We're allowed over the border. We'll all come knocking on Sarah's door. Like, yay! You're like, no.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, no, I've had also just the best experience with Sarah. I knew from the beginning she was who I wanted to sign with because she just really understood my story, and in particular the characters, and everything she wanted to draw out in that were things that I really agreed with, and things that I was like, oh, that is really great. But beyond that, like beyond all the things that Lizelle said, she's just really good at picking out the things that need to be amplified in the story, and just very easy to get along with. I can literally message her about anything, any time of day. I have emailed her in a panic before at midnight, and she emailed me back. She's like, I have the flu right now, but what's going on? Like, no, she really does go all out for her authors, which is really nice. But I will also say she's very supportive too. I've had to take a few breaks, multiple extensions sometimes on some edits. And she's very like, of course, anything you need. Like you hear a lot of times about authors being afraid to ask for deadlines, and unfortunately that is part of, you just get sometimes with a bad match, and it's hard to everybody has a job to do. There's so many different gears in the works, but you gotta, especially when you're trying to create and you're not in that headspace, it's hard. So I have been very lucky that, she's very understanding and very easy to work with in that way. So yeah, glowing review. Our relationship is, and I would say probably, Lizelle probably feels the same way, but you can say no if you don't. I think it's really good, and I think it's probably one of the better relationships you could hear about in the publishing industry, because you can hear some pretty scenarios and situations that people have had to play through. So yeah, I am very grateful for Sarah.
Yes. And impeccable taste. I love all of the books that Sarah works on. I'm like, ooh, yes. I want to read that. I want to read that.
Funnily enough, she really does like the Toronto books. She likes her Canadian authors.
She does like her Canadians.
Which is good.
Okay, I'm going to do another question, because we have one favorite food you included in the book. I'm gonna let you go first because I went first last time.
What food did I include in my book? Sometimes I go back and like, Jesus, I didn't talk about any food right now. I'm pretty sure I talked a lot about Tim Hortons and bacon. So I feel like that's on track for Canadians.
Yeah, that's what I remember. The Timbits.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of English style sort of breakfast too that comes up. So like the scones and the clotted cream spreads and the high teas and stuff like that. That comes more into the next one. But yeah, I think it's mostly. And tonight we're having Timbits and bacon.
Oh, that's what stood out to me. When I read that, I was like, oh, I should have put Timbits in my book.
Yeah. All of the Canadian things.
Yeah. I love that. In my book, favorite food is probably pylori. I really like macaroni pie. It's like a stiffer mac and cheese, but I make that all the time now, so I'm like over it. But pylori is like a chickpea dough, and it's like fried, and then you dip it in tamarind sauce, and it's absolutely delicious.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and I don't get to eat that often because I tried to make it and I failed, so I can only get it at restaurants. So it's special.
That does sound
good. Let me see. I'm gonna pull up. Now we have more questions, so I'll pull up a third question, and then we'll do another
lightning round of.
Yeah. Here we go. How extensive was the revision process with your agents before going out on sub? I can't remember who started, but I'll go. So I did like a pretty extensive revision with my agent. So we did edits for 6 months before going on sub. I had to rewrite half of the book again because I didn't have like subplots. And then this is where like I added in like, I don't think is it the biggest twist in the book? One of the like twists in the book that requires the most backstory and planning. So maybe it is the biggest twist in the book. And so that required rewriting half of the book, but also I was rewriting half of the book because I had to fix the matchmaking process, which I hadn't done as well as could have been. And so that both of those things took a long time because I had to do a lot of like backtracking and fixing and filling in. So then it was like quite a few rounds. I think we did 4 rounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not uncommon. Like I was the same for me. Oh. I got my I signed with my first agent, Lindsay, and I signed on an R&R. So I had to do a major revision even before I got to sign with her. And then it was just half of the revision. It was such a big revision that it was only half, and then she allowed me to sign, and then we finished the other half.
Yeah.
I will not ever recommend to anyone doing what I did, which was basically staying up and sleeping for 2 hours a night because I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I could get an agent. And like, I'm pretty sure I finished rewriting this entire book in less than a month while I was on a ski trip. Yeah, so that was fun. But and then after that, it didn't take very long. It took a couple months. It was a lot of revisions, but I pushed myself through them, which again, I don't recommend. Actually take your time. This is I know everyone's really excited to get to the next step, but do take your time. I got really tired after. Yeah. And then, we went out on sub, and then Sarah wanted a revision, which was basically like she really wanted to amp up both the human side and the fairy side of my worlds. And then I signed with Sarah, but I still had to do another revision, and that revision was making it multi-point of view instead of just the Arlo's point of view, which is what it originally was. So that was a huge revision too. And then came the edit letter.
Like a huge revision, because there's 4 points of view in the
There's
end.
like 6 now. There's 6. There's the 4 main characters, and then the interstitial chapters, which are kind of from a different person's point of view. And then the epilogue is the point of view that will be in the next book. Which might be a spoiler, but anyhow, the epilogue is the point of view of someone else. Yeah, there's 6 point of views now in this book.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. But I feel like your world, like you have such an expansive world. I kind of feel like it feels natural for that to increase because there's so much detail and it's like so huge because it's not just like, you know, Toronto. There's also like different areas that they travel to.
Yeah, it's a whole
fairy course.
It's the whole world, really.
Yes.
A whole geographical map to play with, and it did need it. That was a thing that Sarah was like, you need for it. Like, you need at least to do the 4 main characters' point of views, and so that required a lot of gutting characters and a lot of figuring out different backstories. Because it was fine to have just like if Aurelian and Vayan were more side characters. Mm-hmm. And then I had to kind of reinvent who they were to make them main characters.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, amazing. We have some Timbit love. Lori love.
Hi, Sarana and Sasha. And happy book release to you guys, too.
Yes. Their book is somewhere over there.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
You fell over in the process.
I fell over. I just wanted to grab their book too.
Yay! Sisters of the Snake by Sasha and Serena Nanua is out now today. They're also from Toronto. It's so exciting.
Yes. Yeah, this has been a good few months for the Toronto crowd.
Yeah, it's been wild. Okay.
Let's do this 30-second failure
Let's do
test.
This 30-second. Okay. See, the 30 seconds is pretty good, right? Because it's just enough pressure.
Too much pressure, but whatever.
Okay, let me pick one. Okay, this one is actually really hard, but okay. Books with snowy settings.
Oh,
Winter Song. I assume.
Yeah, that was the book I was gonna say.
Oh my gosh.
Where else has snow?
I'm mixing up all the sequels now. I was like, Ice Like Snow. Frost
Ice Like Snow. Here we go.
What is it called?
Blood Air. Yes. Blood Air.
Oh my gosh. Oh, is it over?
Okay, well, there was 2.
It was
The Bright and the Pale. That just came out too, yes.
Oh yeah. Narnia. Again, of course.
Narnia. Yeah, we're really failing on Narnia.
Blood Hair we did get. Narnia. Let It Snow. Oh, there totally is like a sort of snowy romance book, but of course I forget.
No, like Ashes. You know, the books with snow in there.
That's what I was trying to think of. I was like, Ice Like Snow. I was like, what is
Ice Like Snow? I want that book though.
I think it's one of Sarah's authors too, which makes me feel extra bad.
Is it?
I'm not sure. Maybe not. Maybe I'm hallucinating. Anyway. Spinning Silver. Winter's Promise. Queen of Nothing. Ugh, I almost feel like I can't call myself.
Blanked out all of the Cruel Prince trilogy.
I feel like I read it in like
what happened? I don't know. I read it.
I was just obsessed with it. Okay, Snow Like Ashes is HarperCollins, so I was just completely incorrect.
Ice Like Snow is the new winner of this one.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Did terrible, but it's okay. We did pretty good on 1 out of 3.
Not perfect yet.
It's not perfect yet, but it's not bad. Okay, let me scroll back here. Ooh, this is fun. If you could be part of slash put together an anthology, what theme would you choose and which authors would you pick? I would say just like pick one author that isn't either of us.
Well, already Louisa and I were talking about how Louisa's another Toronto writer, and her book
is also down there.
Home. Yeah, I don't want to make the computer fall over again, but it's beautiful. Everyone read it. Super into gaming, and we were talking about how we wanted to put together a anthology. We'd have to get some sort of IP for it, but an anthology of Final Fantasy stories from the different worlds and stuff, and the themes would be like portrayals of grief and how it's dealt with and such. But I think there were other themes. I just remember that one.
That's so good. Yeah. And that's so very you two.
Yeah.
On brand.
So right now, Louisa and I are just like, oh my god, just want to play Final Fantasy. Cannot. Don't have a PlayStation 5. We've just been crying about that.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I also don't have a PlayStation 5, but I also haven't played any games in so long because I just like
don't have time for it anymore.
The time. Yes. Yeah. Putting together anthology. I would love to do some sort of like very specific horror anthology. Like I'd probably like to do a haunted house one, but I probably should not continuously write haunted house books forever.
Hey, if you like it and you're doing with it, do it.
Yeah. But as a dream anthology, I would really like that. And authors, like, of course, I feel like it would be so cool to like do that with an author like Farida Abike Miede, who wrote Ace of Spades, which is a thriller, but it like does have like some like creepy horror vibes, and I know that she loves like gothic stuff, so it'd be cool to like have some of the like gothic haunted house stuff. Some of the
you did a panel with her around Halloween, didn't you? About gothic in specifically, oh boy, and specifically with Black literature. So
yeah, exactly, and talking about like redefining gothic through like a Black literature and Black author lens. So I think that would be super, super cool. But yeah, I like that question. That's fun.
Yes. Yeah, because it is something we talk about a lot. Everyone's like, man, I just want to do an IP of something and then just write short stories.
And it's so like anthologies are so weird because it's just like pick me maybe. Yeah. There's no like submission to an anthology.
Yeah,
like, you put your hat into
weird entity.
Yeah, though they are doing a cool thing I see a lot of anthologies doing now, where they will like have a contest for like a new voice. So someone isn't published, and so they'll submit their short story, and if their short story is picked, then they get to be published in the anthology, and like that's kind of like their breakout book. I believe that's like
that noted.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. So I think that's pretty cool. I think that was the case for Cersei Moskowitz, who just announced. Yeah. So that's a pretty cool thing. But if you're already an author, it's just like, I guess, wait. And are like, throwing your voice out there. Me, or I do it myself. We have a question about sub. Are you comfortable with a question about sub?
Oh, sure, yeah.
What was your submission process like?
Mine was both very quick and took a while. Every single submission rejection that I got, I think, so it was like, most people, when you go on a submission, you don't do every single editor at once. You do it in batches, the same way that you submit to agents, right? You don't want to blow it all on one attempt. So I think we submitted to like 13 people, and like all like 12 of them said no almost immediately. And my agent's like, that's actually really good because most of the time they don't reply. They just ignore your stuff.
Yeah.
So if they actually read it, that was interesting enough. And like every single reply was, holy crap, this is too big for me. It was like, you write well, this is cool, but I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
And my favorite one, which I will not name names, but my favorite rejection from an editor was like 2 pages that basically said, you write too long. And I'm like, okay, thanks, guy.
No, just a full call out.
Yeah. Like, okay. But then I submitted to, well, I didn't submit it, your agent submits it to someone at Simon & Schuster, and they replied, can we actually pass this to Sarah, because Sarah likes to deal with big intricate things. And I was like, good, this sounds promising, do that.
Yeah,
because that's how I got my agent. I was like, okay, I have good vibes with this. It's because I initially submitted my stuff as an agent to Mandy Hubbard, who is now my agent. She said, Lindsay deals more with fantasy and video games and stuff like that, so I'm going to pass you on to her. And then I got passed back to Mandy. But yeah, so yeah, my submission process was, I'm going to pass you to Sarah as well. And Sarah came back with, this is great. Can you do a revision? And can we see how, that goes for you? It was the revision, again, I had just gotten done doing like Lizelle for yours, like 4 revisions, this massive stuff. And when Sarah was just like, yeah, can you just like make it a little more balanced with the fairy and the human? I was like, that's, yeah, sure, okay, I can write about trees, I'm Canadian, let's go for it. So, yeah. But unfortunately, that was, as soon as I got that request back, that was when my agent, Lindsay, had decided to go back to school and leave agenting. So I had to be transferred to Mandy, along with several other clients. So it was like a 4-month waiting period before I could speak to Mandy and get all of like everything situated and get this revision back to Sarah. So yeah, that's why I didn't end up actually signing till the end of the year, even though this came in like July, and I had it done like pretty quickly. But yeah, it wasn't a horrible experience, just a few bumps along the way.
Yeah, and interesting. Everybody's like stuff is always so different, and like,
yeah,
I think sometimes it's hard to realize how different they are, which is why I really do like podcasts like Write or Die, because you hear so many stories that you start to realize, oh yeah, this is like could be way different for every single person going through this process with submission. But yeah, mine, I also did rounds. Our rounds were a little bit bigger, so I think we sent to like 16 at first, and then I think one said no immediately, and then we swapped to a different editor, and then one we added later. So it ended up being like 18, something like that. Yeah, it's like a large, but I had like a slower trickle down sort of experience. So like there were like a bunch of responses came in the first month. They weren't even most of them. It was just like a handful. And then in the second month, like a few more. And then the third month was like complete silence. And at that point we still had like more than half, like still close to half out. And then in the 4th month, that's when Sarah emailed and she was like, so I'm reading and I'm really liking it, and I'll let you know when I'm done. Do you have a synopsis for that second book? I sent that over.
Did you have to write it at midnight like I did because you didn't have a synopsis for that?
No, because Farida, when I talked about it, she was like, what are you going to do for your second book? And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, she didn't do that to my face because we were talking online, but that I imagine that's what her face looked like. And she was like, shouldn't you just do that now? She's like, I have a friend and they have all their books planned out. And I was like, oh, dang. So then I did that. So I did have it ready and I was glad for it. It was very good advice. So yeah, if you have bandwidth, write a synopsis for the next book in your sequel, or for a sequel or the next book in your series. Yeah, and then Sarah responded and she was like, okay, here's the offer. And then it kind of went from there. And that was the only offer. So people like also started trickle responding to us, but like during the process, like what was really difficult for me was that almost all of the feedback that we were getting back was I would write in my little spreadsheet and it was dislikes genre mix, dislikes genre mix, dislikes genre mix. And I was like, me and Christy talked and I was like, well, I'm not changing it. It's going to be a genre mix no matter what. And she was like, I agree. So then we just were kind of like, so there were like most of the editors that said no were because they were like, I don't know what to do with this, or alternatively, I don't think I like the way that this is done. But yeah, the overall submission process, like, it's not fun.
No, it's never fun to be like, sorry, we don't really like this.
Yeah, it's not fun. The waiting's not fun. Silence isn't fun. Distraction is helpful. It's like briefly fun when you get a little bit of good news, but then almost immediately nerve-wracking. But it's kind of the necessary process. But it is like so different. And to me, something that helped was like listening to all sorts of podcasts about like all these different processes that people went through, because it kind of helped me understand that, like, for one, if I didn't sell this book, my career as an author wouldn't immediately be over. I wouldn't be, Christy wouldn't throw me into the ether.
Yeah, no agent should throw you into the ether if your first or second or third whatever book doesn't sell.
Yeah. So that was so that was helpful, seeing all those different examples. I can't remember how many we answered, but we have a bunch of questions.
There was a comment that we should do a Toronto anthology. We all just write random fan fictions of our stories and put them together in a representation of Toronto.
Yeah. If people don't mind, we might abandon the game to catch up with questions in this last.
Oh, I'm competitive now. I want to fail some more.
Right. Oh, I love that. Okay. Can you say something about the next book? I'm assuming. So in Blood Like Magic, what can I say about the next book?
You've been working hard on it.
I'm like, yes, I have been working hard on it. If you liked the plot twists in the first book, more plot twists await you in the second book, because I have truly no self-control. But they really make me happy.
Sarah lets us get away with a lot.
Yeah, that's true. And it is so far, and fingers crossed, let's see, slightly shorter than the first one. And yeah, I think it's a fitting conclusion. I mean, how do you say? There are challenges, of course. It's still a book, so there are challenges in there for the main character. But I think they're satisfying. Oh, and the thing that I think is the most fun for me about writing the sequel is that the community really opens up. So in the first book, you're seeing kind of a couple or a few witch families, but really there's like a specific focus on like 2 witch families. And in the sequel, that opens up wider, and you get to see a lot more of the witch community at large, and like the dynamics become even more complicated because now there's several families getting involved in things. And I can't say the title, but I like it. I didn't come up with it again. Not
That's all right.
my strong suit.
Other people, that's why you have a whole editing team behind you.
Yes, exactly. Sarah came up with the title once again. But I helped. I always help.
Good. It doesn't matter if you didn't. It's still your title.
It's true. So yeah, I think those are kind of the things I can say about the sequel. I think it's got its own flavor, but I think a lot of the elements that people potentially would like, I was gonna say like from the first book, and I was like, I don't know. I haven't interacted with enough people that have read it. The things that I like in the first book, like the family drama and the complicated romantic tension, those things are again in the sequel, but like in a different way now. And with like, if you can imagine, raised stakes.
It's good. The things that make you most excited, if there's more of it in the next one, then that's even better.
Exactly. I'm very, very pleased about the sequel. I was like shockingly pleased. I was shocked by myself. I was like, this isn't bad.
Maybe I can write books.
Yes. And now I really like it. So I hope that that'll be satisfying for everyone who enjoys the first book next year.
Next year. Yeah, I know, right? Gotta wait another summer. Our books will probably come out around the same time.
Here's a fun crossover. If Voya and Nausicaa met each other in Toronto, and what would they think of each other, and what would they go see together, or what activity would they both enjoy? This is harder for you because you've
I haven't read all of, like, I haven't read too far into your book to really gauge who Voya is. However, Voya does seem badass, and Nausicaa is pretty pro badass women. And I think she'd be really down for exploring future Toronto.
That could be fun for her. I think that would be fun. And I feel like, she could, I feel like Voya would try and like be nurturing and comforting the way she is at with her cousins. Like Voya cries all the time. And I feel like she would be Nausicaa, like, you can cry if you want. Like, I'm already here. I'm already crying. Right. You can cry on my shoulder.
I'm already here.
I know. That's exactly what I feel like. You'd be like, I don't want to do that.
There.
I feel like really Voya and Arlo would probably.
Voya and Arlo would get along really well. Yes.
Yeah. That would be a better
good dynamic. Nausicaa would not know what to do with tears, but would have a lot of fun still, regardless.
Yes. What would they go do together? Yeah.
Eat things.
Hang out, eat things. Cafe hop.
Pardon?
Cafe hop.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. I'm like scrolling down. Jessica wants another meat hate from Blood Like Magic. Their first meeting is it's not great.
It's not great.
It's not great.
But is there any other kind?
Let's see. I'm gonna try and hop around a bit. Oh, bye, Jill. I know you're probably gone by now because I'm so behind, but bye. Okay, I think we're gonna have time for like a couple more questions. This is fun for us since we were already talking about sequels. What's the biggest takeaway you've learned during the sequel writing process? I'll let you go.
I've learned a lot of things writing a sequel. I think maybe the biggest takeaway is how is like how to deal with the threads that you set up
Mm-hmm.
in the first book. I didn't realize, and then I'm like, now I understand why so many people are like, no, I will pass on this. Because there are actually a lot of threads going on in the first story. I didn't realize that until I had to actually do something with that. But yeah, the sequel kind of teaches you how to finesse your writing process, really, how to do things a little quicker and a little I don't want to say professionally, but I'm really tired right now. A little better, we're gonna say. Quicker and better. Just because you have the first book under your belt. So for the second one, I've learned how to outline a little more, how to organize the information that I need to keep track of as I'm pulling these threads through the story.
Yeah.
But also how to tie it into what's previously happened. Because again, as my editors pointed out, it's going to be a year in between writing your first book and your second book. And when there's a lot going on, there's a lot you have to remind people of that happened in the first one. So I think, my biggest takeaway from the sequel is how to do it. I've never actually written a sequel before. So I've never gotten that far in my process. That was the biggest takeaway right there, is just how to do it, and that I could do it again. And then, how to actually pull these threads through the story, because it's still not done. So hopefully, because that's what that phone call is about. So fingers crossed.
Oh my gosh. That's what's so interesting, I think, in traditional publishing about the sequel process is most of the time this is like a debut author's first time writing a sequel, because everyone has told you not to write a sequel because you don't know if the book will sell. So then you might waste time. So then by the time you get around to writing the sequel, it's your first time ever doing it.
What do I do with this?
Yeah. And that's why second books are hard, because you've been working on this first book for so long. And then not only do you have a shortened window, you are now doing something you have never previously done that you have to learn and then execute. So learning how to do sequels, and not that many resources out there to help you learn to write sequels. I really wish someone would do that.
You should do like a whole sequel talk, probably when I'm not super tired and I can think of better words than better.
Yes. One day. I was like, if my sequel goes over well, I'll make a video to help with the sequel writing. At this point, I'm like, I like it, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I got very positive feedback from Sarah. She's like, you did a really good job. This is a good sequel. And I'm like, well, I can't wait to ruin it for you with this revision that I just did.
I'm sure it is fantastic.
We'll see.
And my biggest takeaway from the sequel writing process, learning to live with what you have already done. Because once the first book is out in the world and you are trying to plot your next book, you can't go back and be like, forget that this thing happened here because it ruins things for me later.
Yeah. And that's why you plan your synopsis of all your story.
Yes.
But no. That's a very good point.
Nope. There we go. We're back.
I was like, did you freeze?
Yes, I froze. You froze, and then I was like, what? And then we both disappeared, and I was like, okay. But we're back now. But you can't undo what you have already put in the sequel, which is super, super difficult. But I think something that helped me a lot was reading or making a list of all the sequels I had read and writing down if I liked them, why I liked them, and if I didn't like them, why I didn't like them. And then trying to do the things that I liked and trying to avoid the things that I did not like. Which is still ends up being personal preference, but that's kind of a thing that helped for sure. But so we're coming up to the end, but I think we should do one more
owl
one more guessing round.
Okay.
For the road. I just want to answer super
reply with Narnia again.
Yes, Alex is trans in the book. I'll answer that super quickly. But yes, okay. I'm going to pick a card. I will reset the timer. So this is the last one. If you have questions that I couldn't get to today, again, I have that event on the 18th. The link is below for registering for that, and you can ask your questions there. And I'll probably later do some sort of video live spoiler thingy or something where questions may also be asked. So yeah, I'll create some opportunities for that. And I have another event on the 19th with Sasha and Serena, who were in the chat, also linked down below. But anyway, time for the final round. Maybe we can redeem ourselves. Maybe we can get fun this time. Okay.
Why did you pick an easy one?
Okay. This one I feel like we should be able to do. Okay.
What is this one?
Books featuring chosen one main characters. Okay. It's starting.
Mine's anti-chosen one, so mine.
I was like, oh, this has suddenly become not as simple as it seemed.
Anti-chosen one.
Does Narnia count?
It's Narnia? Yeah, Narnia. They're all 4 of them are chosen ones.
Oh,
Harry
God.
Potter.
Oh my gosh, it's gotta be Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson is that one?
Is the Hunger? Yeah, I don't know. The Hunger Games is like
that
a chosen one sort of thing. Oh, why? I'm sure there's tons of them out there. I've read tons of them. Why don't I know any books?
Yeah. I just like my brain imploded. We got Narnia, in fact, did work.
Narnia works for everyone.
So
I guess it's been a good day for Narnia.
Carry on, yeah. The Lightning Thief. Oh yeah, I guess we couldn't just say Percy Jackson. I guess we had to say
No. Percy Jackson.
Lord of the Rings.
An umbrella term. Yeah, that's true too.
We needed to mine from the past answers more.
Yeah. Well, I was just trying to think of all like the teen books that I read when I was more of a teen. Because all of those were chosen.
They had more.
That was the theme.
Yeah. The moment someone asks a book-related question, I'll forget.
I don't know anything about books. Books are irrelevant to whatever I do.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Counts.
Books. It's true. Yeah.
I have never read a book.
Yeah, that's true. Shadow and Bone. That's true.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah.
Forgetting everything. Anyway, there was one where we got 4, and let's all remember that with fondness in our hearts when we leave today.
It should have been the one with the swords.
Yeah.
We struggled really hard with that.
That was a big struggle.
I'm really disappointed in myself. That's okay. I was really disappointed in
next year, for the Blood Like Magic sequel, maybe we'll do this again. We'll come ready.
That's like gonna work in a sword so that we can have one more.
That's what I should do. But yeah,
just read through all the Owl Crate questions and try and include one of everything from the Owl Crate question. That was really hard to say. And then we can pick your book for all of them.
Yes, exactly.
Subtle advertising.
Yeah. Oh, man. But thank you so much to everyone for coming. Thank you so much to Ashley for joining me. Their book is in the description. Purchase it, please.
Purchase it. Yeah.
Where's from your library? So much so, yeah.
I'll do with my camera angles. There we go.
Right there. I'll leave that task to you. And thank you again to Jessica Williamson for moderating the chat. Her channel is below. Subscribe to her channel. She did do a fun reading vlog of my book in which there's lots of crying, which I personally enjoyed a lot. Nothing makes me happier than when people say my book
Than other
make
people
them cry.
suffering.
Yes, the suffering of people reading it. And yeah, thank you so much to everyone for joining us today, for celebrating Blood Like Magic, and
Happy book release day!
Yes, I'm so excited. And yeah, I'll see you sometime again this week in other events.
In other events.
And thanks so much. Bye.